What's up, everyone? Juan from q.v.o Games. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're doing a Before You Buy Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition Leaders by Czech Games. Essentially, it's an expansion. However, let's go over the game a little more and what Lost Ruins of Arnak is. To me, Lost Ruins of Arnak honestly was a game that I truly enjoyed, and I picked it up at the beginning of last year. And the game honestly has been a big hit. I introduced it to a lot of people, and everyone loves playing the game. I don't think I've had one complaint yet of the game or being a bad game in any way, shape, or form. However, it does have its weak points, and we'll go over a little more of those in a review or a separate video. But today we're just going to go over the expansion itself and before you buy the expansion. I think that's going to be the title of the video as well. Before you buy Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition Leaders. What essentially before you buy is going to be just telling you what you need to know before you consider buying the game. Before you buy the expansion, and the expansion honestly adds quite a bit. So we're going to see what the opinion or the verdict is at the end. However, just going to go over Lost Ruins of Arnak first and go over an overview of it. Lost Ruins of Arnak is a resource management / deck builder. A lot of people say less deck builder, but I truly think if you don't use a deck, if you don't build your deck from buying item cards at the top or artifact cards, honestly, you're going to be falling behind. And the good part is that before a problem or an issue with the game, actually, you buy the cards from top, you add them to your deck. And you want to use those, use those cards and the cards you have already. You have a primary hand already, and those 5 cards help you excavate. You get coins, compass, tablets, arrowheads, and rubies, which you use to move up the research track, unlock new excavation sites, and unlock guardians or aka monsters, who you attack and also help you kind of combo your attacks and combo your moves to be able to continue doing different actions. There's free actions with anything with the lightning bolt next to it, which help a lot, of course. And there's also actions, everything really does something. So playing a little bit of everything can help, but primarily I've seen people win before doing just guardians and then just doing the research track as well, which is right here. You get points from the research track, and if you get to the top, you can collect more points from the first, of course, and collect different rewards, and each one is different. And I'll go over that a little bit more of the research tracks, which is really, really cool. So cool. That's kind of what Arnak is. It's honestly a really good game. It's probably my favorite. So one of my top 5 games currently. While going through my board game journey and trying to discover more and more about these board games, that's kind of what I found out myself, and I really, really enjoy this game a lot. The game essentially, the expansion essentially, what it adds or brings to the table is it adds an asymmetric. It adds asymmetry to it, which it adds the expedition leaders, right? Which there's a couple different ones here, and each one plays a little different. There's, I believe, 6 or 6 total different leaders. Each leader plays a little differently. Luckily enough, I got to play with almost all of them. I haven't played with 2. However, I really understand how they play. I don't think I have to play them to understand. Something really, really, really important about Lost Ruins of Arnak, the Expedition Leader expansion, is that it comes with 2 cards that replace a card and a assistant that replaced the previous one. So going over first, the artifact card, and this kind of can make or break, right? It's kind of like you really do consider the fact that it's replacing a card that may be broken or is broken, and it's called the Stone Key. So if you look, the only real difference behind it, so what the Stone Key does is it moves one of your relics on your player board from a slot back to your supply crate, and essentially I can see how that can be a little overpowering, because when you're moving your relic back, I mean, you can literally do it over and over and over. You can do the free actions over and over and over again. That's pretty crazy. Or even at that point, you can basically, it's almost like an infinite amount of resources. However, I think the limit to it at that point, of course, you're going to get to use it once you pay a tablet for it, but so they changed the compass cost for it. For relics, you have to pay compasses to pick up, and they're usually on the top left of your board, and I'll set these down in a place where you can see that. Here, the compass essentially is going to be 3, and the new one is 4, it costs 4, and that makes perfect sense. That's a pretty powerful card. If you play it right, you can do a lot. So that's kind of what it does. It replaces 1 card, and I guess it balances out the game. And that can kind of let you know a little bit, like if the expansion is necessary. If it's adding, pieces to adjust the gameplay, it kind of does turn into like a, should you buy? I mean, probably at this point, but let's keep going. So essentially, it turns the miner assistant. He's a miner, not like a miner assistant. He mines. You get 2 gold in the old one. The original, you get 2 gold coins and 3 gold coins when you upgrade them. How do you upgrade them? Is when you go up the research track. So for example, this gold piece would mean an upgrade, and that one would as well. The new one, what it does, it gives you a 1 gold piece and 1 boot instead of 2 gold pieces from this one here. And when you flip them over, it gives you 3 gold coins. I can see, like, even if you do this, with 2 gold coins, I can truly see how that can be pretty overpowering. I mean, you can literally do free powers and then gather. You can buy 2 artifacts. You can buy tools from the top with 2, even at 1 point. I can see how that can be a little overpowering for like beginner assistant. And the back with 3, that makes sense. Having 3 for gold. I mean, if it was 2, I think that would be underpowered at that point. It would make the miner pretty useless. I would never want to pick it up. And there's still a couple of assistants that you look at and you're like, is there really a benefit to this? But they all can't be good because, I mean, there's going to be like a speed to who could get to pick what they want first. You kind of want to rush up the research track to be able to collect your assistant before the next player. And I can see that. So that kind of balances out the game a little more with these 2 pieces. I've actually separated the 2 pieces and added them to a separate bag. So next things is what it also brings to the table is new artifacts. The artifacts, honestly, it looks like they're a little more, they seems a little more difficult, right? Like they give you a good effect, but they also damage you a little bit. And they actually helped give the Guardians some new light. And it's actually really interesting because the cards, all of them are a little more, like they cost more compasses, but also they do more. And it adds more variety of like your comboing, right? You get an artifact card, it added more things to do, as well as something new about it is the flipping guardian, right? Like there's actually this card here. So the Guardian Fang, which added, basically it has new symbols and new things. The expansion adds like new mechanics, I think you would say, or new actions. So for example, this card here, you can actually use a Guardian, which is one of these, and usually on the top right you have an effect. And what the effect does, it ends up actually, you kill the Guardian and then you flip it over, saying you used it. So with this card, you can, instead of using this effect on this card here, you can use this effect. And that's kind of cool of a combo because you can buy the artifact card, use the effect, turn your Guardian over. Like maybe you got a Guardian you didn't really want to use. Like, oh, like I don't have, for example, this Guardian here. Maybe you don't need a boot or a coin. So having this card to change that actually adds some variety to that, which is actually great. Each card looks like it's actually a pretty strong card. They didn't add anything. I mean, top left, they all give you an airplane. An airplane is basically a form of movement, and you would use that. The hierarchy is airplane can equal a boat or a vehicle, and the vehicle and the boat can equal a boot, and the airplane can also equal a boot. So you can use that to actually travel to any of these places, which is pretty powerful, and usually costs 2 coins to pay for a vehicle, or to pay for an airplane to go somewhere. The great part about that as well is that I think the artifact cards at first were a little underpowered. Like something was missing for me, honestly, while playing with the artifact cards. However, now with these cards, it just seems that they are punishing a little bit. Like they are better, but they also damage you a little bit too. They not damage you. You kind of have a bigger set of cost. It's costly to use basically, and they give you a good amount of them. And I shuffled them all into my main artifact. However, I did separate them to kind of show you the difference between the both. Next thing I'm going to go over the tools. The tools were actually really interesting. What I did for my first playthrough, I didn't shuffle everything together yet. I actually shuffled first the artifact cards, and I've shuffled these cards and shuffled the bottom and put them up top, like put them on top of the deck, because I wanted to make sure that I accessed the content, but I wanted to get through to this first. So I put the tools, had the main deck of tools, shuffled it, put it down, shuffled the next set of tools, shuffled the expansion tools, put them up top. Artifacts, same thing. Shuffled the main artifact deck, shuffled the expansion artifact deck, put it up top so I can experience new content. And I did that with almost everything, even the new Excavation Sites, the Guardians, and the Assistants. The Assistants only really comes with 4 if you count the replacement. And yeah, so that's kind of what I did. And the cards do seem like they add some new effects. Are they game changing? Are they necessary? Probably not, but they are really cool. And some of them do add with the comboing with the new expansion symbols and the new characters as well. And that's kind of cool, and I like that. I appreciate the way that it just adds a little more variety to your gameplay. If you played the Arnak game a lot and now you're kind of like seeing the same cards over and over again, I think you probably could see the same card probably after your 10th play. You would probably be seeing the new cards more often. On top of that, what's kind of interesting is that the game itself comes with a new kind of like an addition or a new mechanic. And the new mechanic is or the new variant mode, I guess you can call it, is with this new red staff. Before they had a blue staff that just moved in the round, it tracks the rounds. However, the new one, it's kind of it's a red one and that's a variant. So when it's time to get rid of cards, you get rid of more cards and add more. So for example, for moving from round 1, in the original, you would just take off the left and the right card, discard the artifact and the tool card here, move up to the next one, and fill in the holes, or like what's left. You just move down, boom, 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 put them down. With this one now, it takes out the left and the 2 right cards. The 2 right cards get wiped out, and that kind of lets you cycle through the deck a lot more and a lot faster, which is nice because you get to experience more of the tool cards. I mean, let's just say each round, if people are buying tools, of course you're going to cycle it more, but this speeds up the process even more to be able to access more of the cards since it's a bigger deck. That actually makes perfect sense, and that's actually a really cool feature to add a new variant to that. I think it's honestly going to be a staple every time I play now, just because having new cards come out every single time is actually really helpful to kind of be able to speed up gameplay a little more and be able to see more of the content. And sometimes there's cards that you really don't want. However, also adds a little more of the thing, well, if it's a card that you want, it's 2 cards down, they're going to be gone. You're going to be getting rid of them. So the new excavation sites, these actually were kind of tough. When we played with them, they are good, but they, like I said, they punish you, right? You can add fear cards which are negative points to your endgame score, and fear cards also cloud up your deck. From when you're pulling them, they only really have a boot. There's really no use for them. And why go to a boot when you rather go to a car or a boat on the upper, like higher level excavation sites? So if you look down here, this one gives you a fear card, but also the benefit also is that you also get a coin, tablet, and an arrowhead. That's actually pretty good. Pull another card and a fear card. Sometimes it's actually, gameplay wise, it's actually it's better to get a fear card than lack your action, because the whole game is based around having the most action. I mean, the more action, the more combos you can do, the better. The more you keep going to keep moving up or getting the resources and managing yourself the best way possible. So yeah, they added a little bit more. Are they necessary? I don't think so, but they are a lot of fun to have, like I said, a variety or more to access. I have not been in a game where we played right and we accessed the whole board here. I haven't seen that yet, but could it be possible with like the new leaders? So excavation site level, the second level excavations are going to be, they're pretty good as well. I mean, they add a lot, and some of these are pretty strong. This one you get a coin, 2 tablets, and you get to activate one of the original sites down here, which is actually really, really good. Also, I mean, this one basically gives you access to a lot of different combos. I mean, you can get a coin, an arrowhead, get an arrow, and turn a tablet into an arrowhead into a ruby, plus pull another card. That's really, really good. That was probably one of the ones that everyone was going for when we were playing. Like, once we discovered one of those, everyone wanted to go to that one first. I mean, it's a really good one. All 3 of them are pretty good. I never seen like a lack in the level 2s. I mean, for people to access them, I mean, I've seen 2 out, 3 out max. I haven't seen all 4 yet, but I'm sure it can happen. And like I said, we haven't really accessed every single one of these. At 4-player, actually, we access a lot of these. Not every single one, but we access it quite a bit. At 3 or 2-player, we haven't really gone that far. Also, getting up the research track, I'll go over a little bit. It's actually a lot easier now with the expansion. So these are some of the new guardians they added, and they look really cool. Like, so this is like a stone mountain crab looking guy. It looks really awesome. And this is looks like a character from Monster Hunter, a video game. I forgot what his name. Let me know in the comments if you remember that. So this gives you, they're all pretty powerful, and this one gives you, I mean, a lot of airplanes. Also, you need an airplane to defeat them, which was interesting. This one takes a car. They're all really good. Guardians are great. They do add some stuff to it. However, they do add some variety, and they are difficult. They are more like, there's a variety. I think the Guardians, they're all pretty good. However, those can be the reward for killing those sometimes can not be the best. I mean, sometimes I don't want a coin in a boot. But however, with the Relic, if you find the Relic, you can kind of change that and get a different power up or different action, which is really good. It comes with 4 little pieces as well. These are basically just to let you know if you're on the sunny side up, you can flip it and it's nighttime. That's when you've passed your turn. You can do as many actions when you pass. You're basically done with your round and you're just kind of letting everyone else go and you sleep. it's a good way to track that as well, so you can know, did I pass, did I not pass, after maybe you passed earlier, right, and other 3 people are still going, you don't forget that you already passed. Or you go to the restroom, something happens. That's happened to me a lot, where I go to the restroom, come back, and I completely forget something. I actually lost a game last week. Not on Arnak game, a different game, because I went to the restroom, forgot my whole strategy when I got back, and completely lost the game for a team-based game that we were playing. Cool. So the assistants, pretty good. I wouldn't say the best. They're, like I said, it's just they do help like the beginning of the game. I feel they're more beginner assistant helpful. This one's pretty good, but it's compared to other assistants that are in the game, they actually lack a couple things, honestly. However, they added them, and I think these 2 specifically, having a boot, 2 boots, and a coin at the beginning of the game if you get your research or your assistant right away, which is like the next tier up right away. It's pretty good because 2 boots, someone takes a position in a 3-player or 4-player game, someone takes one that you really need. I mean, you have a free action here to go. That's really good. Here, if you have a lot of fear cards, you can turn them in. You can turn those fear cards into, basically, with the cost of a boot on the left-hand side of the fear card, top left shows a boot. You can basically turn it into a coin or a tablet, which is also really good. I think that's more beginning. At the beginning of the game, it gets really good. When you get close to the end game, it's debatable. But if you're playing your goal is to have a bunch of fear cards because that's kind of how you're playing. You're discarding fear cards and stuff like that as you go. Then yeah, it's definitely really good. So going over a little more the assistants, which is like the next thing they included. They each came with their own player, like a little helper, and they add a lot to the game. And the reason why it's actually really good, playing Arnak without the expansion. What I really noticed is that it was really difficult to move up the research track. It was really hard, and they made it a little more difficult with the research track. So basically, the research track is harder with the research track that they added. They added a new one, which is this one right here. It has double sides. It's actually harder to get up the research track without the leaders, without the asymmetry, basically. When you're going up if you're playing without the leaders, it's harder to move up. The original one is a little bit easier, and there's actually a backside as well to this. The original one, it's easier to climb up, and if you have the leaders, it makes it even easier to climb all the way up. So that does add some variety to the gameplay as well. So when you put it back on here, you can honestly, if you put it side to side, you can tell the difference. This one's a lot more harder to climb up. It's longer, it costs more resources. And the backside is also the same way. And the crazy is they added some things to it where like only the magnifying glass can go up this way and only the book can go up this way. That's really cool. And there's an artifact card here that adds to it. They really did upgrade the research track. That's super awesome. And I think I personally do enjoy both. However, if I ever want to have an action heavy or a big point heavy game, I would probably play without the expansion, but without the expanded research track, and use the expedition leaders in place of that to move up the track faster. Adding this back into it, so the expedition leaders, like I said before, it was really hard to move up the original research track. It was difficult to even get to the top. The expedition leaders make that easier. They make your actions more meaningful, and it adds some more to your actions. And each one plays different. For example, I'll be showcasing them here shortly. So let's start off first with, I believe it's the Professor. Like I said, each one comes with their play as well. So the Professor comes with its own play. Each expedition leader comes with its own player board, and as well as an original hand. And they're all really cool. They look pretty simple, and some of these are really interesting. This is actually something new they added. A lot of the cards have it. For every artifact card you have, you're going to be getting if you have 0. So it would be for every artifact card in your play area, essentially. So if you look here at the bottom, it's going to show you your play area. It's going to show you your 0. So you have 0 in your play area, that's 1 coin. But if you have 1, you get a compass added to your suitcase. And if you have 2, you get a compass and a tablet added to your suitcase as well. As you also added after every round, you get to add for example, the Professor, you get to add additional things into your suitcase. Also, you can keep artifact cards in your suitcase as well. The Professor, if you look here, when you buy an artifact, you may buy it from the card wheel usually, or from your personal archive. The first time your archive is empty, refill it with 3 new artifacts on top of the deck and gain a compass to your suitcase. This can happen once per game. The suitcase, essentially, it kind of puts away resources for you, and you can use it to pay for the cost of an artifact. It's actually this one. So basically, the professor is more of an artifact-based character or expedition leader, and that's kind of his strategy with playing him. And that's kind of it with him. However, the cards do add a couple more things, and I can see how if you have an artifact strategy, if you want to play more artifacts, I would recommend playing him, of course. But yeah, he's not the strongest, I believe, but could be some variety depending on how you decide to play or how do you play. The next one's going to be the captain, and the captain actually comes with an extra little worker. And the worker, you basically have 3 archaeologists, and you use it just like any other archaeologist of any color. And as your main action, you put an available archaeologist on the space, and then use the silver effect of an assistant available on the supply board. Neither the archaeologist nor this main action can be used again for the rest of the round. Yeah, having a third is actually really powerful. That's extremely powerful. That's kind of his shtick. He just has a third archaeologist. He's the captain. His cards say the same thing almost. Hidden fear. If this card is exiled, gain a fear and a compass. And yeah, getting rid of this, I guess, is really actually important because it's a -2 point card. I haven't played with the captain yet. However, same thing essentially. If you can, depending on the amount of workers you have out, you can do +1 coin, +1 compass, +3 tablets, and that is a free action. Pretty cool one. I think having a third archaeologist is pretty overpowerful, pretty powerful, and probably I can see how the strategy would be played with that one if you really were playing more like a guardian strategy, I feel. However, another one of the other ones play just like about guardians as well, and I'll show you that in a bit. So the Baroness is more of a you can save up basically with. There it is. So the special card is going to be this one you always have in your hand. The card, you can see it like this. It has a little parachute in a box. You always have it in your hand. You always have your 4 cards plus this card, always. It's a special delivery card. You can use it to play tools directly from, you can put basically a tool, you put it directly into your hand. And usually a tool goes under your deck in the deck builder, so you would put it under your deck and you would put the tool in your hand specifically. The research notes, the card itself has the research notes, connections, and yeah, she's basically a tool-heavy character, expedition leader. She would play with the characters themselves, and with the tools a lot, and she would use the tools more consistently. That's her strategy. Also, she gains coins every round as well from the bottom of here, and that's how she basically plays. The Mystic Leader, he actually has a bigger player board. It's a way bigger player board. Same thing, the player guide is here, and basically you would exile fear cards, and it would be part of your ritual board here. And the exile fear cards, they can be used for you kind of exile your ritual cards depending on the amount of cards you have here. You actually put them and sacrifice them to do different things. For example, you can either get a coin or a compass for 2, 3 for a relic, or 4 for to kill a guardian. That's pretty powerful. And I guess basically with the cards up here, the relics, new relics, you'd want to, or the new sites, you would want to actually hit those sites more to get fear cards. You have to just find a way to exile them. I believe I'm not really surprised if it comes with the mechanic to be able to do that. Yeah, he also adds fear cards constantly. Your goal is basically to get rid of those as fast as possible with the Mystic. That's a pretty cool. I can see how that's probably the most difficult expedition leader to play with, honestly. It seems like, and that's pretty crazy. I haven't really got a chance to play with him yet. However, that's one that I would like to try, or exile this card to fire, or exile this card. You basically can exile your cards. That's pretty interesting. He actually, I feel like he is the most difficult one to play with. And probably one of the most powerful ones as well if you play him right or efficiently. Another one is the Baroness. Not the Baroness. This is going to be the Tracker, I believe. The Tracker is the Falconer. Sorry, the Falconer. So basically her shtick is she comes with her bird, the Falcon, and every beginning of the round she moves up on this track, just like that. And you can also do it by killing guardians or using guardians, like flipping guardian energy. That way, the higher you go, for example, if you're on this one, you get a gold, and once you hit that gold spot, it goes all the way to the beginning. Go to the next one, the relic to the flying, then you get a relic and a travel of a plane, you can go all the way to the beginning. It's it was interesting to see her play. I can see how basically it's a guardian strategy, right? You're fighting guardians. Your goal is to fight as many guardians as possible. And you could win by just doing that and maybe doing minimal research track. It's very possible. You just really got to focus up and get it going. Because honestly have never won by doing just guardians. I haven't played that strategy yet. I would love to try it, however. She is, I wouldn't say the strongest. I still think the Mystic's probably good and the Captain are probably better. But it's actually a good option to go with. Oh, this one is the Scout. She is very interesting. The Scout is... Oh, the Explorer. The Explorer, her shtick is that she actually plays with snacks. And the snacks, yeah, they're actually, if you use them appropriately, they're actually pretty powerful. When you're using your snacks, you can pay to actually move your Explorer somewhere else. And you can use it to rescue archaeologists. It's basically you take it back and place it in a different place. Or you would base your snack at the site. And when you place a snack at the site, you basically indicate that you can't go back there. And that was actually a pretty powerful one as well when we were playing her. She does a lot of great things. And her cards as well can be pretty powerful. I mean, you basically play your card and you can use a snack on the card, each one as so. That's a pretty if you combo her correctly and you just do as many actions as possible and manage yourself, you can get pretty far on the research track. So that's kind of all of them. However, it's only a 4-player game, so you'll really never see them all out at the same time. And I don't think I mean, you probably could add a variant and add 5 people. You just need to add 2 more archaeologists somehow. And I wouldn't really recommend it though. The game honestly can be really long if people have a lot of analysis paralysis and you have a lot of AP. So the game can take a really long time. However, if everyone's like playing the game correctly, I can see 2 hours for 4 people can be more than enough. It can be a quick game, usually not for newer players. Yeah, the expedition leaders add a lot of it helps a lot because before, like I said, you couldn't even go up the research track at all. You would basically just be stuck maybe halfway, and you couldn't hit these top research. They're like little tablets that give you a lot of points. And the way to get those essentially is you use coins, compass, relic to get 1, the rubies to get another 1, the relic and arrowhead to get another 1, and if you move up all the way, if you want to get these 2, one that's higher points, you use these 2. This one would be these 2. The top one would be all 3. That's a lot of resources. I mean, that's basically 4 levels. If you get the top one, the 12 points, which is 12-point max for those, you basically that's about 4 rows, 3 rows of moving up on the research track with just your compass, not including your research book, which has to follow behind your compass. It can go above the compass, not the compass. It can go above your little lupa. It's not lupa, that's a Spanish word for it. The magnifying glass. Like the magnifying glass moves up, and then the research token moves along with it, but it just can't pass it. You don't have to move with it, but you just can't pass it. However, research token gets you your research book gets you your assistance. So that's kind of like the verdict of the video, correct? So the verdict is, the expansion does add a lot to the game. It adds a variety, it adds a lot of things, and honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to remove it from my game. I think from this point forward, it's a permanent staple to my Lost Ruins of Arnak base game. I added it to the box. I took everything out just to show you guys and show everybody like what exactly it comes with and how it is. Also, if you consider the fact that you have 2 cards or 2 pieces that replace old pieces to adjust balance, it kind of gives you a general idea of if you do or don't need the Expedition Leader expansion. I mean, they make it kind of necessary. That kind of balances the game a little bit. You can very much just go in and remove them officially. I mean, you really, honestly, you don't go through all the assistants. Even at 4 players, you eventually end up not seeing them. However, if someone gets those 2 cards, I mean, it can be pretty overpowerful. Relic, give or take, it's just 1 more compass. Not that big of a difference, honestly. It does adjust the kind of the balance between that, like by the power to the purchasing or the cost of that power. I truly believe the Expedition Leaders is a great expansion, and adding it to your Arnak, your base game, is going to improve it a lot. I think a kind of like a house rule that people made was that they're adding another round to the game because they felt like they wanted to do more, but they couldn't. For example, they were adding like a 6th round. They'll play 1 more round to kind of expand it, but the asymmetry with the Expedition Leaders, the Lunar Leaders, I mean, they end up helping you get through the research track faster. And if you really want to do a lot, then you basically remove the extra research track and you just do the bottom one, and it's a lot easier, the original base one. You basically go through the whole game a lot quicker. And that's extreme. That can be fun, right? If you want to have that reward and you don't have a difficult game, you just want to gain. You use the leaders and you take off the extra research track and you kind of move up. Or if you want to have that difficulty added, you use the main research track. I truly think the Expedition Leader expansion just adds so much more to the game. It's a staple. You have to add it to the base game, and that's what I did. I basically added it to my base game. The box I'm not going to throw away. I'm going to put it away, and I'll see it some other time, and I'll see it later. However, I don't think this is ever going to be played without it at this point forward. The expansion does add a lot of variety, and I really appreciate the variety along with the symmetry of the leaders. It adds a little bit more, and just enough to the point where you can push yourself more and get more actions or more play out of basically more actions, and you can do more on your turns. And that's kind of a little bit that was missing with the base game, and it adjusts that with this expansion. That's kind of the verdict of what it is. I really do appreciate expansion. I think it's a must-buy, if you ask me, and I really can't wait I really am interested to hear what your opinion is on this game. So if you don't mind, drop a comment, subscribe and like if you can for the video, and share it to your friends or share it to your platforms. That would be awesome. I would love to see what you think, and let me know what you think, and let's talk about the games. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I appreciate it. It's probably my longest video yet, and if you made it this far, I highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. This is Juan from q.v.o Games, and this was the Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition Leader before you buy. Thank you. Goodbye.